On September 24th of 2013, I went in for what I thought was a routine doctor's visit to find out the sex of my baby. And they were like, it's not so routine. They had to do 2 different ultrasounds actually during that day. And the visit took about 2.5 hours. And they were like, what we think is a cyst is now your cervix and you're dilated to a 3. So it was very overwhelming and shocking for me because I had no idea that I was walking around with an open cervix at 22 weeks. And so the doctor went on to say, she was like, well, you're going to be placed in the hospital and until you have this baby, basically. And so I was in the hospital in Trendelenburg, which is basically laying on your head for 3 weeks. And then at 22 weeks exactly, 22 weeks actually in 6 days, I'm sorry, he decided he wanted to come. Kyle was intubated for 2.5 months. We were actually here at Riley for 3.5 months. And that process was definitely exactly what you said. We were intubated and they was like, oh, I think he's big enough. He's capable to breathe on his own. So now we're going to remove the tube and excubate him. And he failed. He didn't even last a whole hour the first time. And that was rough. Then the second time, it was the middle of the night. And I remember, I will never forget it. I stayed a night in his room. And I was asleep, and we have a curtain that the parents have to pull, and I had my curtain pulled, and I hear all these voices, and I'm in a deep sleep, so I actually thought that I was dreaming. And the doctor was like, the baby's turning blue, heart rate of 23, heart rate of 15, and I'm like, oh no, this is not a dream. And I snatched my curtain back, and my baby was blue because he extubated himself. He pulled his own tube out. And so, of course, that night they re-intubated him to preserve his life and, to give him breaths. And it was definitely an emotional roller coaster. It was up and down, up and down, up and down, because you never know what each day was going to bring. And there was always an unexpected, or what if, and how are you going to handle this what if? I was not able to hold Kyle for a month and a half of his life, and that was difficult. It was just to come in and see him being touched by the nurses or the doctors and not being able to touch him myself. That was probably the hardest part of the NICU stay. And when I was able to hold him, it was just wonderful. Yes, I was a little scared and I was nervous because he was so tiny, and the ventilator is definitely something that worried me about holding him. Am I going to pull the tube out? Am I going to push it in too far? How do I hold him? How do I touch him? And so for the first 3 days traveling over here to see Kyle, I didn't want to touch him. And the nurse was like, Mom, you at least have to touch his fingers. Here, you just use one finger. We'll wash your hands, and they sanitize you, and they allow you to touch him with a finger. And I was just like, I don't, because I completely detached myself for those first 3 days. I was like, there's no way I want to attach myself to something that I don't know if I'm going to be able to have. And it was hard. And so when I was able to hold him, it was just amazing. Like, nothing else mattered in that moment but me and my baby. There was a room full of people, but they did not matter. They didn't even exist. It was just me and Kyle. And from that moment, I was very selfish when holding him afterwards. I didn't want anyone else to hold him, not his dad or my mom. I think it was hard for them to understand too, but not being able to hold him for a month and a half, I wanted to regain what I thought I had lost. During the emotional toll of the NICU was probably the hardest part, because other people around me, i.e. my mom, she could see hope. She was like, I can see where my grandbaby is going, and I could not. And I was very hard on myself because I felt like, what did you as a mom do to have this baby early? What, did I eat something wrong? Did I walk the wrong way? Did I not exercise enough? Was there something that I didn't eat that I should have? And that was very difficult in the beginning for me because I definitely blamed myself a lot. And the emotions that you experience, you never know what you're going to experience in one day. Literally, you would probably get like 5 different emotions from me. You would get crying, laughter, you would get just sad and anger, and you would never know. You'd never know what you're going to feel during the day, because there are moments in the NICU where things are great and the baby is breathing fine and they don't need any support. And then there are other moments like they take 2 steps back and they do need that ventilator for their respiratory, or they do just need a little nasal cannula oxygen just to help them get by. So your emotions are never stable. For me, they were never stable. I definitely think moms in the NICU need to take every bit of help they can get. It doesn't matter what it is, just appreciate it and take it, because in the long haul, you'll look back and you'll be like, I wish I would have. Because it definitely relieves a lot of pressure off of you when you have that extra support and you have that person that's willing to help you. It means a lot. And when you have someone that can talk, definitely talk and be honest with yourself about your feelings. That was one thing that I did not do. And I feel like all moms need to, because you will feel better once you get it out and you say, okay, you know what? I am having a bad day. I'm not going to tell you that I'm okay, because it's okay not to be okay. And during something such as a NICU stay, you're not going to be okay. But you have to be honest with yourself during that time.